We are 860 AM and 106.5 FM, WNOV, The Voice. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM, Courier Communications, Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
We're in a state of emergency, a mess of confusion. The danger is great, it's plain to see. Desperate times call for desperate solutions. Fear of love is fear of pain, baby. It's just an illusion. We've been wrong, we've been right, we've been up day and night like soldiers in a revolution. We're like soldiers in a revolution. There's a war going on in here. Gotta find us a better solution. Just let it all hang out. Say something real. Say something real. Hey, girl. Say something real. Won't you say something real, girl? Say something real. Do-do, do-do, baby. Say something real. 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 Say something real.
Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You are listening to Say Something Real. And let me just say, it's a little toasty outside. Okay, wait. It's real toasty outside. Okay, it's hot as, brimstone in the pockets outside. They said it is going to feel like 100 degrees today. I think it's going to get up to about 92, but it's going to feel like between 98 and 100. And it's supposed to rain off and on the entire day.
Somebody said, yeah, she showed up today in the studio.
Who showed up today?
You.
Oh, really?
You talk about, remember you said you was going to take off?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Dang it. I was... let me get myself and leave. I was supposed to leave. I was supposed to not be here today. Man, whoever that was, you were supposed to text me at the house, Michelle. I'll come to work. It's your 4th of July day.
That was happiness donut.
Oh, happiness! I should have known. Look. All right.
All right.
we gonna get at the show today. I'm gonna try to skate through quite a few things, quite a few topics. Clark, you noted that someone new was the first person to log in this morning on social media, and Henry Peters, 4500, 4580, was like, no, Kenya, not today, boo. I mean, got in within seconds of each other. So I'm not saying I support competitions, but
we appreciate it.
It's ironic that Henry had never been first. Black people petty.
Henry's like, not today. Not today.
Miss Thing. So and he look, he came in with his smiley face, the sun with the shades on, like, yeah, baby, I'm cool. So, I mean, we not petty here. We're not petty.
Yes, we are.
But Henry, you look petty this morning. You came in and bumped my girl out of her spot. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. I like happiness, don't I say good everything. Yeah. Just capture it all. What's happening, y'all? Let me say hello and good morning to the bros in the building. What up, Cheeks? How you doing this morning? He know who it is. Put the camera on him, Clark. He know who it is.
Cheeks.
Cheeks.
Well,
how you doing this morning, sir?
Shell. Since
I get lonely. That's what you sounded like when you said, What's going on, bro? How you doing this morning?
Well, Shell, since the 4th of July is 250 celebration for the country,
okay,
I decided to wear my green beret hat, which I am now black beret. And that's for all the hood right there. Meteorologist Mano Candela. It's steam coming up from the ground. You can cook eggs outside.
Have you ever done that before? We did it when we was kids.
In Arizona.
Yeah, we did it when we was kids. I did it my mama called us cracking her eggs out. My mama didn't appreciate the science of it at all. She told me, I ought to make y'all eat them.
Well, yeah. Hey, why you playing?
She was a little testy.
I had actually, did the eggs. I had the pan out there, and we
just put it on the street. Okay.
Yeah, to put it out there. I mean, because I just wanted to see.
Okay.
I promise you, about 7-8 minutes later, it was sizzling.
It was good to go, huh?
Oh, it was good too. After I put the sauce I ain't nothing like outside cooking.
All the street dust landed on it.
I told you, Arizona got a heat that you can't even explain that heat.
Yeah, man, that heat
is unexplainable.
Yeah, that's the devil.
It's past the devil.
Well, you know what? Let me just say this, since you mentioned the Green Berets, but you talked about, on the black hand side.
Yeah.
Colonel Paris D. Davis, one of the first black officers in the Green Berets. Davis faced significant racial discrimination during his service, overcame a nearly 60-year administrative delay to receive the Medal of Honor in 2023.
Wow. It took that long.
And this is for bravery exhibited in Vietnam. See how trifling folks are?
Yeah.
See how raggedy they are?
Really
Melvin Morris, one of the very first African-American Green Berets, also served heroically in Vietnam. He was awarded the Distinguished Services Cross, which was subsequently upgraded to the Medal of Honor in 2014. And then Brigadier General Remo Butler, breaking administrative and operational barrier decades later, Butler became the first Black general in the United States Army Special Forces history. So just so you know, when you mention the Green Berets and Black folks, long story history. But think about it. My daddy served in Vietnam. And so you didn't get what you were supposed to get until 60 years later.
And even some is still not getting to what they
exactly
supposed to get.
Exactly.
Fought for the country.
So, you know, as we talk about patriotism and service, and you made me think of something on Abby Phillips' show not too long ago. A Black female soldier was on, and the guy from the show where Shark Tank, I can't stand that man. And he, you know, was talking slick outside of his mouth and asking his sister, you know, would you rather live in China? And she said, so let me be clear and let me stop you in your tracks right now. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's real close. I served in the United States military. I come from 2 to 3 generations of folks who have served in the United States military. Have you ever served? And he was, she said, then shut up. I was like, she said, because I was willing to put my life on the line for this country. Don't you dare ask me, would I rather live in China? Like when I say she wasn't playing, well, I think his name is Kevin. She was not playing with him. But I'm going to tell you who is now my all-time favorite guest on the Abby Phillips show, Charles Blow.
Oh, the dude.
Charles, the black dude. Charles Blow is so petty and so brilliant at the same time. Oh my God, dude be doing the clap. It's like Al with a PhD. Like dude be doing the clapbacks, and they be so mad. And it's so funny because they be, you know, like they try to handle the women. Charles Blow be like, don't let this slim frame fool you. I will do both. I will break you down mentally and physically up in this piece. Oh my God, because that one dude was getting too close. Charles Blow put his hand up. He said, hey, you want to back up, player? I was like, who decided to bring Charles Blow on the show? He is the best. Let me go to my man, Mr. Superman over there. How you doing this morning, Clark? Man, today, still not you.
That's all right. I'm gonna win it back.
I am still standing alone and not being off on the 4th of July.
You could have did it today.
You should have called and text me. Shell, remember not to come in. You protested. You didn't do none of that. If you was my guy, you would have did that. Yeah, so, you know, forget you, Clark. Right. I'm not here for it. But you all right, though?
Oh, yeah, I'm all right. When they got some tests done. Yes,
some what?
Some tests?
Yeah, some tests.
Oh, yeah, so that's more than one test.
Right.
You got some tests.
That's more than 7.
Hey, he put plural on top of plural.
I got poked and pulled all day yesterday.
Do we have results yet?
No, not yet.
We wait.
Hold on.
All right.
Do you got results?
I knew I started to do it. It was low hanging fruit. I started to do the double plural. Yeah, I was coming for it. See, me and you.
Right.
Me and you.
That's why we can't go nowhere together.
That's why we can't go nowhere together. I can't go nowhere with Keith because he don't know how to act. I clearly can't go nowhere with you.
You most definitely
can. You know, and if I go with Debo, he ain't gonna do nothing but go to sleep at the table. So
we getting kicked out of funeral, weddings, baby showers.
Me and Keith for sure. Like, and Keith will purposely sit next to me so he can say something slick. And his wife will just look across the table like both of y'all ignorant. You know, and I'm not with either one of y'all. And I'm like, get your husband. Because I was over here minding my own business. All right, y'all. So let me get to a number of things. Oh, first and foremost. First and foremost. 2 things. Number 1. To Tammy and the folks at Althena Communications. I came in this morning. I saw beautiful flowers. And I just want to say thank you so much. I literally, again, Black people, foolishness and petty. Who got flowers? And I was ready to hate on somebody. And then I realized that was for me. I was like, so I had to reel in my petty, like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But I was about to be like, who get flowers up in here? Absolutely beautiful gesture. Thank you so much. Absolutely made my morning. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it. Second thing, we had clothes dropped off for baby boy yesterday. The family that we are helping, some additional food was dropped off, while they're in the hotel. So packaged kind of goods that they can have while they're there. This morning, hopefully we will have somewhat of a breakthrough. We are waiting for 2 phone calls about housing. And I ended up, it's just so crazy how things work out. Someone who works with me in another capacity said, hey, I heard what's going on. I have a second bedroom in my house. And if this does not fall through this week, you can have her come stay at my house. And I said, you understand she has a 5-year-old child? And she was like, that's okay. I'm cool with that. And I said, well, if that's the case, and if it takes time to get her into an apartment, rather than pay the hotel, I'll just pay you for her to be there. And, she was like, well, let's talk about it, whatever arrangement we set up. She said, but no, she ain't got to keep staying in that hotel. So, when I tell you nothing beats the listeners to this show, nothing beats this Black community, of folks here in this town. When I say people rally on their own, because I ain't asked nobody to do nothing.
Right.
And people was like, check your Zelle, check your Cash App. I left something at the station. What size shoes is that baby wear? What size clothes does he wear? When I say I love this community, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And, while I might be the face of some of this stuff, make no mistake, without you all, none of it gets done. Or it only gets done at the extent that me and Jermaine can afford it, and Clark and Debo. And then, Keith always be holding his money real tight in his head. He'll be like, here. The preacher hand be the tightest. Here. Dang it.
What would Jesus do?
That ain't the question he asked.
Right. What would Keith do?
So I just want to say how much I appreciate everybody. And sisters, please don't be offended, because when I say sisters show up. But brothers, y'all always kill me, because brothers fall through in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
And it just feels like men and protectors and folks, tapping in, right down to Meech, tapping in and like make sure these folks are okay. And so, like, nothing makes me smile harder than when I see the way brothers can show up. So I just want to say that's just the update. Those calls will start coming in around 9:30 this morning. And so hopefully we'll have some news. But either way, she is being taken care of and assisted, and they are eating and they are safe. And that is because of every one of y'all. Whether you actually sent something, did something, or just said an additional prayer for her, or had her and her child in your thoughts, all of that energy is sustaining them. Yeah, Jay.
I just want to say, Milwaukee really don't realize, well, maybe they do realize who you are. And like for you to take time. And again, all of this started from a ride. And and just not knowing what people are going through. Like, we take a lot for granted. Like, we see people and be like, they all right, whatever. Like, not knowing what a person,
or you don't slow down to ask, or even because you can sometimes you see it,
and then you,
but you're like, you know what?
You know what it is? It's because people in Milwaukee, they scared. They be worried about shystiness. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard for them to. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know if somebody really, need it, And then if you give them the help, and then you see them 2 or 3 weeks later, they back doing the same thing.
See,
So
but
it's
you know
kind of
what?
like that.
See, but you know what, Clark? And this is what I found out to be true. If you see a person in need and you do your part, that's
Yeah.
all that matters. So if they take whatever you've done for them and use it
Yeah.
in the wrong way, that's on them. By you doing what you did, you just stored up blessings for yourself.
Right.
Because even though they might spin it in the wrong way, you still
Right.
saw a need and you was there for the need. And that's the important part, is being there for the need.
Right. And that's how I look at it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Even if I just donate something,
Yeah.
okay, you know, that's good.
I mean,
better.
yeah, I think about like what
I
you did
feel
for that
better.
baby with that lemonade stand, you know, and these acts of kindness show up, excuse me, way more than we ever hear about. And like I said, it's unfair and unfortunate sometimes that I can be the face of some of this stuff, but I know where that support comes from. And I know how y'all show up. And I don't care what no news stories say and the way people try to frame our community and talk about us negatively. I know what we do when we care about folks, you know, and folks we don't even know.
Right.
You know, so again, I got to take a quick break. When I come back, again, I'm going to try to run through a litany of stories. There is a lot going on, a lot to process and digest. So we're going to go at it hard as soon as I come back. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM.
WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So I said I wanted to try to get to a number of things that have been going on in the community and, you know, look at some stuff nationally that I haven't had a chance to weigh in on yet. One of the things I was paying attention to, article dropped in the newspaper about the fact that the Granville bid. Now, since I have been at the station, I have, been one of the people that helped to host the Granville Blues Festival. Mary Honey would come to the studio all the time to talk about what to expect at the lineup for the Granville Blues Festival. We watched it expand, you know, in the number of days, the different offerings that they had over the course of her tenure with the Granville bid. And it was really a cool event, free to the community, something that was created to give minority-owned businesses in her district, because she was the executive director of the Granville Business Improvement District. And so to give the businesses in her district an opportunity to sell their wares, their goods, you know. And so we would be out there, and my soror Rhonda, Avon lady, you know, like, oh, I need to get this, this, and this. I met some of the folks who owned the bookstores and had, you know, the books that I would buy for my grandson out at the Granville Blues Festival. It's a sister that was out there. She did desserts. When I tell you Khalil and Cameron, they was like, hey, where the cake lady at? Like, they would remember her from trip to trip. Where is the cake lady, T? And they would go out there and get the cakes. Then this one sister had this big drink. I forgot everything that was in it, but everybody wanted this drink. Like, so all of these minority-owned businesses, you know, that was one of the ways that they were trying to help them. The other thing that Mary Honey had been working on for a number of years was to be able to create a modern day equivalent of an incubator space. The old Joanne Fabrics, they were refitting all of that so that those 40 businesses or so that were in the district could actually have a brick and mortar location, a commercial kitchen situation, if I'm not mistaken. I know that was one of the goals. But that people had a place where you could actually come in, almost like the Bronzeville Collective or something. You could come in and shop with these vendors. They had workspace, the whole 9 yards. And I would hear Mary talk about this every year as she was doing the Blues Festival, and then they had the car show and other things to try to help generate dollars, raise money, attract, you know, businesses to the area. So there's an article in the paper that talks about the fact that now that project is no longer. Mary Honey resigned as the executive director from Granville. And while I'm not privy to all the details of why she resigned. I know it was some BS in the game. And I know it was some business folks over there that didn't care for her and they kept up drama. I know that it was some back and forth. And Mary walked away. And a new individual was installed in that role. And now the paper is reporting that the project is not moving forward. That, you know, one of the things in the article says the project ran into delays tied to material shortages, other pandemic related issues. All I'm gonna just say on that, while some of that may be true, the Granville Blues Festival was happening after the pandemic. So all of this don't add up for me in what's being said in the paper. According to comments made at the district's June 23rd board meeting by Executive Director Nevaeh, I'm not sure how to say her name, Nevaeh Hill, she said, quote, "We are definitely out of that with no scars, a little hurt feelings. We have moved on." I want to be clear. I got some hurt feelings because I was excited for that opportunity for area minority owned, Black owned businesses. Because a lot of these people cannot afford a brick and mortar. A lot of these cooks don't have access to a commercial kitchen. Had it been able to be pulled off, because shopping is minimal in that area. You know, places to get something to eat is minimal in that area. And I remembered how Mary poured her heart and soul in trying to make that happen. And so for them to say, we're looking for new ideas, like a coffee space and an office, get the man. Yeah, that's what we need. We need a coffee space. You know, that's what we need. So the alderwoman in the district, Common Council member Larissa Taylor, she didn't respond to the newspaper for a comment. Maybe she wasn't able to, you know, get back to them by their deadline. But I'm just gonna say it's unfortunate because that district is funded by special assessments on and around 400 Granville area commercial properties. 2026 budget almost $1.5 million. And this area, it goes from North 60th Street up to 95th Street, over the County Line Road, over the Good Hope Road. And so it was an area when I moved in that area, you know, years ago, on a condo on 107th Street over there. It was so much attractive about being in that community. And not fully sure what's going to go on with the development at Northridge Lakes and what will, you know, that old Northridge area, I should say, not Northridge Lakes, but Northridge. It's just sad. It's sad. And so while the new executive director and the folks that's running things now will be like, yeah, we got out of that deal unscathed, there was a lot of people that was looking forward to that. And again, I don't believe everything was connected to the pandemic. Now, it may have been, but I just think it was some other stuff going on in the background. So we'll see what will end up happening to that area. But yes.
Yeah. Why is it so hard? And I used to go to Northridge all the time, that area. Not all the years, why is it so hard for business to get there? There's so much traffic going through there. It's a lot of, you know, traffic going through there.
I mean, because people, you got to be willing to invest dollars in the area to beautify the area. The marketing needed to be done to encourage people to come back and to have that advocate spokesperson with a degree of a bit of a high profile to be able to encourage people, you know, to come. It's turning into more of an industrial corridor looking kind of situation. Yeah, and I guess it's better to have some business than no business. And it all just be, you know, just this empty storefront space. But, you know, not seeing that Olive Garden there, not seeing, you know, these restaurants. Like I said, I am so irritated whenever I'm hungry And I'm like, I just want to run and pick up something to eat, or I want to run and go sit down. I don't want to go to, no disrespect, but I ain't trying to go to family table every time.
Yeah.
Like,
no Burger King, no nothing.
Nothing. I mean, you gotta. I literally have to head to Menominee Falls to go to Applebee's, to go somewhere and sit down. If I want to do something quick, Cracker Barrel, or all that foolishness, I got to go that way. Yeah. Or I got to go to Tulsa or Brookfield. It's a few places to go in Brown Deer. And they're doing a better job, I think, of attracting stuff to the area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's rough over there, man.
I mean, because you know what? When I go to South Ridge, I go there, I said, man, this how North Ridge used to be over there. All these restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, just going to the Mayfair Collection.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like it's a ton of restaurants. It's like 2 or 3 over there. Yeah. But just that idea that people are investing into the community. And it's got to be hard to attract business. But it's not like it's not income in that area, because
There's
is
a lot of income in that
so I don't know what's going to end up happening, but it was just a blow. It was disappointing to see. And, I didn't want that moment to pass. So another thing I wanted to talk about, I saw the county executive had put out a statement about the presence of ICE in the community and the arrest that went on. But the statement that the county exec was talking about is that we have a mask policy in our area. Somebody said, you know what, and I have not been there yet. And thank you, Jordan, for pointing that out. I'm going to go. I'm going to try to make a point to go. Maybe I'll try and go today. The IVR bar is great food.
Oh, yeah. So that's on Good Hope.
Yeah, I've been going there a lot recently. I'm going to have to go in there because I have not. And because number one, I was trying to see who owned it.
Indians.
Who?
Some Indian people.
Okay, see, and herein is some of my issue.
Yeah, some Indian people.
I'm not trying to be messed up.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah. I was just in there. I was just in there because I wanted to, see what it's like. It's a nice establishment, but it's not owned by us.
Yeah, and that is part of my even like the breakfast place. The breakfast place, the owners are wonderful people. Nice as they can be, accommodating. That place stayed packed. They make their money between whatever time they open and 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock when they close. They get all their bread. But you do, and I think there's another restaurant kind of up in the cut over there that may be Black owned. But it's just interesting about who can make it, who doesn't make it as a business. Like I said, you see whatever's going on with Pepper Pot down on King Drive. You watch a lot of these businesses struggle, man. Yeah. And it's just, it's sometimes just nothing like being able to go into a restaurant that we own, and kick it.
That's not fair. And this is what gets me, because you got these people that come over, in which I'm not against anybody that's coming over that's looking for a better life. Fine. But you have people that's been here, that's been looking for that better life, that's been trying to establish that better life. And we got to go through hoops of fire. We got to go through all of these things just to have something. And then when you get it, you got to overprice your people that you pretty much putting yourself out of business within a year or two.
The pricing aspect is difficult, trying to, make sure that the patronage doesn't turn on you. You set it up one way, hoping you're going to have this kind of clientele. And then next thing you know, because I always talk about what they did to the Applebee's in Midtown. Niggas try to turn it into a club. Like, what y'all doing up in here, man? This ain't how this go. And let me say this real quick. Let me just say this. I was at the Capitol Grill.
Oh, Jesus.
I had to speak at a high school graduation, and we were downtown, and Keisha said, hey, let's go grab something to eat at Capitol Grill. Cool, let's go. We go. They seat us behind a booth with these 2 sisters were sitting in the booth. It was quiet in there because it was like a Thursday night or some random night. So it was people in there, but it wasn't real thick. Okay. So it was quiet, These 2 sisters was eating. One of the sisters got a phone call. It was clearly from the father of one of her child. it turns into, so they clearly are not together and it's a whole bunch of drama. She talking loud, hood, and ghetto. And then trying to convince him, I don't need you. I don't care about you. I'm living my best life. I'm in Capitol Grill right now. And then she keep talking to him. And she said, no, you just mad because when I brought my sister over there to buy some weed from you,
what?
You wanted me to blank your blank.
What?
Oral fellatio.
Yeah, well,
or, double word thing. But yeah, you wanted me to perform fellatio. But she said it in the hood ghetto way. Like literally, you could hear me slam my silverware down on my plate. Like, now, okay, I've had enough. And the wait staff came over and they was like, they're getting ready to cash out. They getting ready to go. And because I was like, hey, get my food to go. Because I'm not getting ready to pay $75 for a piece of meat. Not no sides, not no salad. Just the meat costs $75. And listen to this hood nonsense up in here. And then you trying to impress somebody that you living your best life, talking and acting ghetto in the restaurant. And I had a moment when I was like, see, this what people be talking about right here. You change the whole feel of the place. Leave your nonsense. And so this is the struggle that we have as business owners too. How do you keep that out of your business, man? It's the cost of doing business. And like, because I remember thinking one time I was at Capitol Grill, I said, certain people done found out this is over here. Because the way they was coming through there dressed, I was like, what? Come on, y'all. This is not how you show up. So let me grab this caller. They've been holding for a second. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Well, that's a custom for kind of people who are not used to having nothing. But Fond du Lac is giving $9,500 if you move it there, so that might be a great opportunity for them.
I saw that.
But what I was going to say for the Northridge area, I think one of the problems is that they have too much low income, and they probably don't want to deal with a certain culture coming from. I think it's maybe after the 90s, the 90th. And Brown there, because you got a lot of certain mentalities that nobody really want to deal with. And then if you go on the other side of 76, where they got the green foreclosed door on the apartment building, I think that is probably stopping a lot of stuff. But I think once they push them kind of people out, push them out, and we don't care where they go, then they will start coming back in. See, because people have normalized being hood and being ghetto is a new anointment. And that's what's hurting the city. And nobody is telling them that they don't belong here and we don't care where they're going. So once you flush them out, it's like a colonoscopy on the neighborhood. Once you flush them out, you'll start getting better things. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Jordan put in there, Kitchen 11 is good. I don't know where that's at.
Yeah, I ain't never been there.
Good vibe on 69th and Brown Deer Road, Kitchen 11.
69th and Brown Deer?
Yeah, so I'll look for that. I don't know where that is. Kitchen 11.
I know we used to have like plenty of venues. Like, my guy Barry and them had celebrations on Bradley Road. That was a nice, black owned venue. It was nice upscale type joint. You could come eat, listen to some music, jazz throughout the week. That type of stuff.
Yeah, and somebody had on here the Lux. That's what I went to. That's up on Capitol. Yeah, and I just got food to go. But these people was in there and their kids were so wild. I was like, no, I can't. I can't. Like, man, get your kids, man. And then I just, and I'm saying this as a sister who, profanity is a part of this is what I do. But I don't swear, and this is going to sound crazy. I don't swear in public.
Right.
Even though I swear on the radio, and it's tempered. It's not like the gutter, gritty, wash your mouth out with soap swear words. And I just be looking at sisters like, man, why y'all mouth so atrocious?
In front of their kids.
In front of their kids, in front of their man, in front of strangers. I mean, I'm like, sisters, y'all mouth sounds so out of pocket. The level of profanity is ignorant.
Right.
And you got a 4-year-old child running around you, playing, and you cussing like you at home in your own living room. You don't even, people used to care about being too loud in the public, space, appreciating. I'm not trying to infringe upon other folks' rights. And these people, they don't care about you. It's like the whole restaurant is there to accommodate them and their needs. And so that was going on when I was up there too. I was like, nah, I'm too old. I've been got into a fight up in here.
That's just like when you at the gas station and they come through the door. Yeah, I'd be like, really? You got to hear your whole conversation?
Yeah, it's just ignorant. And people with these cell phones. Man, why you got your phone on speaker in the store? Why is don't nobody want to hear? And usually the conversations be ignorant and ghetto, because real people having real conversations, they don't do that.
Right.
They don't hear none of that. And some of these people be all doing it. Like, this ain't no 20-year-old, 30-year-old. These is 40 and 50-year-old people, mostly women, with their phone on speaker in the line for everybody to hear or as you walking through the store, like, man, get a headset. But I was telling somebody, I wouldn't even want to run a business, because people just can show up so crazy, and you got to deal with all that. So anyway, real quick, Al had mentioned the $9,500 in Fond du Lac County. So in case you hadn't seen that, Fond du Lac County is looking for workers. So they are offering a combination of money and perks to be able to draw people into their community. $5,500 stipend, and the rest would be in perks like, so you're not getting the whole $9,500, but you're gonna get like $4,000 in either assistance with childcare, to be able to attend community events, other things. But they're trying to get workers into the area. So the program is called Make My Move, and they're trying to get job seekers to fill open positions in different communities, emphasizing the culture, opportunities, and incentives to prospective applicants. And it's funny, that you're seeing something like this being offered, but they're like, yeah, in addition to the $5,500 cash relocation money, we got something on home TV and appliance upgrades, wine tastings, a welcome dinner, dental savings, members to the golf country club. So there are 2 branches of the program, one focused on local workforce, the other on remote workers. But both programs are out of, Greater Fond du Lac. So just so you know, if you're thinking about moving to the area, only those who currently live outside of Wisconsin are eligible for the program. Did you hear what I just said? Only those who don't live in the state could be eligible for the relocation dollars. You got to be over 18. You have to have be earning a salary of $55,000 or more, and they must agree to live in Fond du Lac County for at least a year. So they're looking for a certain class and type of person. So many of y'all who thought, oh, this is a chance at a new start in a new life, they ain't talking about you. Going back to Al, when he said, if you drive a Buick, then this president was not for you. Yeah, they want you minimally 55 G's. Go ahead.
So if you live in the city of Milwaukee and move to like Chicago or something for a year or two, would you be eligible?
If you did what?
If you moved out of Wisconsin, moved to a different state,
and then move back. Ain't nobody doing all of that to go get
no. I ain't saying just to get that, but like say like you made a choice, like you wanted to move to Texas, and Texas didn't work out.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what the how deep they go into, the guidelines. If they're gonna say, hey, you couldn't have been a Wisconsin resident formally, but I'm just saying it's interesting.
I wouldn't want to.
They talked about in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they've done a program that was similar. They offered $10,000 to non-Oklahoma residents working remotely for companies outside the state, but they had to agree to live in the city for a year. And they said that they were able to get more than 4,000 workers in their program since they started it back in 2018. So just so you know, this is being done. Interesting concept, but when Al referred to that, that's what he was talking about. Let me grab this caller real quick. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
About the flush them out comment, or we can't gatekeep. So how does this connect to Young Miami's song about spin that ish? Yeah. You know, boosting is my whatever. Yeah. And I'll even throw in Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife wearing that see-through dress. You know, we have to look at examples in our community and can't question if you see them at the Capitol Grill or different places living out the behavior that's surrounding them. BET had Lauryn Hill, and if you listen to her words and how she motivated people, we don't have that these days. Yep. Janet Jackson came out there covered up her whole body and looked elegant and beautiful. But what we have in the media and what's in our families and things like that now, how can we expect anything less and then want to say we need to flush them out?
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
And I got a comment about the Milwaukee Journal putting that fire extinguisher or that fire hydrant. We tearing them open. I hope they all get broken open over this hot, heated summer because we need more public places for our young people and our elderly to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You want to say something, Jay?
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as them lyrics, I listened to that song, and
the song is Spin That.
It's Spin That.
Right.
But what it's saying is for all my boosters that's boosting, for all my people that's pretty much stealing, and I tell people, music influence you to do things. I'm a living witness. When you're constantly putting this music in your ear, you're listening to it, you then become what you're listening to. Because in my age of developing that street life, even though I was raised in church and raised good in church, when I got old enough to start listening to whatever I wanted to listen to and hang with whoever I wanted to hang with, the music that I listened to catered to the people that I was hanging with. So now you got two peas in a bucket. So now we growing together. You listening to the music, you gang banging. Cash Money had a song out called Tuesdays and Thursdays. And for those that hustled knew back in the day, on Tuesdays and Thursdays is when the police raided the block. In every city, Tuesdays and Thursdays was the day that every block got raided if you was hustling. And so that was almost like a street anthem to the people that was hustling. So you ride in the car like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, not knowing that you ignorant, because that's the day the police come get you. See what I'm saying? But the music got you so gone, and the weed and the drink got you so gone, your hat broke to the right or left.
And that's why I want to just throw in that it's not just the music, because you just alluded to it, the smoke and the alcohol,
all of it play a part.
Because and I always use my son as an example. My son listened to a lot of the same music, but he didn't do nothing that was in the song. He didn't, because that wasn't the circle he ran in.
That part.
So he wasn't, and like I would pull his headphones back sometimes, like, what you listening to? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, on that nonsense. But he never was like that just, and I think the music, even from when he was younger, some of it has evolved even more, to even more just gutter,
crazy,
ignorant lyrics. But I think it's more than the music. It's the combination of all those things coming together. So music influenced by alcohol, influenced by negative peers and relationships, influenced by poverty. Because like you know, if you got something going on, and I ain't talking about street money, I'm talking about, you know, employment money, college money, you know, professional trade money, you just move differently, man. I can hear all of that, and I'll party with you cats. Man, I'm back at the job on Monday. You know, I'm vacationing.
You got something to lose.
Yeah,
but when you don't, and
so that's why I just like, you know, to be careful about framing, because people will take the music and run. It's way more going on than just music. You got a confluence of all the right things, you know, hitting each other at the right time to create a ripe moment for ignorance.
Yeah.
But to Jermaine's point about that initial home training, if it's done, if you don't get killed first, a lot of people find their way back.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, speaking of home training real quick, I'm going to just say this. I was on the phone with my grandson and my son yesterday, and they were riding in the car. And so my son always like, Mom, you on speaker. Well, okay. And so, he always had to say, hey, because me and my son talk reckless to each other. So he's like, Mom, you on speaker. I was like, I got you. And so I said, hey, Atlas, how you doing? He's like, hey, Grandma. And then, you know, he must have went back to doing whatever he was doing in the car. And my son said, son. And he's like, yes, Dad. He said, when someone says, hey, how are you doing? After you answer them, then you're supposed to ask them, how are they doing?
Trademark.
And I was like, okay. And so he said, hey, Grandma, how you doing? You know, and I couldn't help but smile in that moment, because that's home training. You won't forget those things. Even in working with the young sister that I'm working with, I called her last night to check in on him. And, you know, she's 22. So her comments is, yeah, nah, and nah, and yeah, and, you know, like, and so it was so funny because the way she answered me on something, you know, she was like, yeah, and I was like, I just held the phone. I ain't say nothing. And on her own, she caught it. And she was like, yeah. So I said, because you're talking business right now. I said, this is not a social call. I'm not your partner. We doing business. Stay in business mode. But she was raised by her grandfather. And I didn't say a word. It kicked right in. So and I got to go to break. But that's one of the things, you know, to understand. Some of us slacking on the home training because we know how to act in restaurants because we was taught how to act in restaurants. We were taught etiquette. We were taught behavior. We were taught not to be disrespectful and to think about other people's space. That stuff is learned. It's not natural. And it's a whole bunch of parents that's slipping, even parents who think they doing, you know, something. Your kids be stank acting. They had nasty attitudes. They ungrateful. They think the world owed them something. And these are parents that got bread, you know, with real jobs and doing okay. But you ain't giving your kid a lot of manners. So that's how you get out in the streets and act like you own the place and the world owe you something. Mm-hmm. You know, home training go a long way, man. Mm-hmm. And I had to just smile yesterday when my guy said that to my grandson. He's like, hey, bro, that ain't how that go. I'm going to the phone line? Okay. Hey, let me go to, okay. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes.
I was just listening to you guys and about the city. And I love our people, but there's so many people from Chicago that have admitted to me that they purposely try and destroy our city. Because they thought we were country. Y'all streets were clean. Y'all can leave y'all doors unlocked. And they admitted this. Several people. I have people in Illinois, Chicago, but they admitted that they do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again now. Say that again, sis.
We're talking about the Brown Deer area,
right?
The up in that area and the neglect and the lack of businesses,
right?
And even in the inner city, I have relatives, I have friends that are from Illinois, specifically Chicago. They have admitted to me From the edges, they migrated over here, transplanted over here to Milwaukee because our city was clean. Our streets were clean. We could leave our doors unlocked. They came over here for better living, but they have destroyed our city.
Yep. I've been here.
I'm real talk. I lived on the block. It was my old neighborhood. I used to clean the streets up every day, and I used to talk to people and ask them where they were. The whole block was from Chicago. They would leave raw chicken outside. They would just dump food outside.
Yeah.
Secondly, about the granddad and the lack of home training. I'm currently raising my granddaughter, and these children are so different. They are disrespectful. She's 10 years old, and my grandchild will not listen, will not be respectful. And I know I was raised well, and I'm trying to instill that in her. But no matter what I do, she's disobedient, defiant. Punishment doesn't do anything to her. Taking things from her means nothing to her. So I don't know. It's difficult with raising these children. No matter what your home training was. And I know I was raised well.
So how long, if I just can ask real quickly, so you said she's 10. How long have you had her?
Well, I've had her for a year now. I had her
a year. Okay.
2 years.
So you didn't get to do the foundational stuff with her. You trying to?
Correct.
I got you.
Correct. Between the age of birth and around 4 or 5, I was working third shift, didn't have a lot of influence on her. And once I was forced to have her in my custody, I thought I had an animal. Someone had bought me an animal because she had no training.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, just as somebody who has worked in child, services, worked in a group home, residential living, I have seen some of the toughest kids. I mean, worst attitude, worst behavior, but that consistency, because it's still new. And a year for a lot of people is like, man, I've been at this for a year, and they so young, you would think it would happen quicker. The one thing I have found in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, that continued consistency, and it's the balance of, discipline and encouragement and reward. Like when kids think like they know, because a lot of these kids know, like I'm pushing buttons and I'm acting a fool, and they just waiting for the punishment. And you switch up the game sometime. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I know you showed your behind today, but we're not punishing today. We're going to eat dinner today. Because I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna show you how it look when things go well. Because see, right now I'm just showing you what it look like when you mess up and what punishment look like. But let me show you how you can live when you do the right thing. Let's go eat.
Awesome.
And so you switch it up on them, and then because I had a young man that I was helping to take care of. This boy was a whole mess. He was a whole mess. I took him on the east side to a rooftop dining after he had shown his whole behind at school that day. I said, you know what? Let's go get something to eat. We went to the rooftop dining. That boy stood up and he looked out over the east side on that balcony, and he just stood there. I said, what's going on, man? And he was like, man, this is beautiful. I said, well, this is what you can do when you got some money. This is what you can do when you get a job and you know how to behave. And you don't see nobody acting no fool over here. So, so I'm just saying, sometimes switch it up on them. But consistency will get you there if you can hang in there and they don't do nothing crazy and, it go haywire. Consistency will get you there.
Awesome. I'm definitely trying that. I just began that. But I will be consistent with that. Yes,
ma'am.
I called CPS yesterday.
I know it gets frustrating, but flip the script on them because a lot of kids have. Yes, ma'am, and thank you for the call. A lot of kids have conditioned themselves for the abuse. Like, I know I'm gonna get a whooping, or I know I'm gonna get yelled at. I know I'm gonna get time out. That's the cycle. That's what y'all do. So, and they learn how to cope with all of that. But when you mess them up, and you know what? We're going to the movies today. And they know they done acted out. And then when we done and they done had a good time, you'll be like, so why do you think you were here today? Why do you think, I wanted to bring you to the movies? Or, how does it feel not to be punished? Because this is how the other half is living. Now, if you like, everything being taken from you, your room being stripped down, not going nowhere, you can keep doing that. But I just want to show you what it looked like when you do what you're supposed to do. You want to say something, Jay? I see you.
She should have took them little legs and put them legs where the little girl ears is, and took her ears, put the ears where her legs are, and sent her out the house. That's what she should have did.
Hey, it's
take her legs, put them where her ears are. Take her ears, put them where her legs are, and send her on.
We not folding folks up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, look, it's other things that I definitely want to make sure I can get to real quick. Jermaine was looking at the news story about these kids in this stolen car. Two of the kids, 12 years old. Question came up: if I'm riding in the stolen car, because they said the 12-year-olds got arrested too. Can I be arrested? I ain't steal the car. Yeah. If you are knowingly riding in the car and you know that your partner ain't got no car and that this car is likely stolen, you can be arrested, and convicted of a crime.
I mean, especially if the driver 9 years old, he ain't got a car.
He's 9
what you doing with the car?
Well,
9 and they 12.
I just want to say this. My brother bought his son something called what is it? He bought him some $300 thing for his computer, for his video game system that drives a car. It's a simulator.
Yeah, the simulator.
Yeah, and because he said my nephew was driving with 2 feet because he got the pedals to it or whatever. He was driving with 2 feet. He's like, you ain't driving no stick, bro. This not how this go. So he was in the room talking to him about his driving. My nephew was listening. I mean, he must have been playing online. So his boys started laughing because they was like, tell your daddy this a game, man. He giving real driving lessons. And my brother was like, no, because if you start bad habits now, you're going to, do it when you get out on the road. But when people were walking away, like, how do a 9-year-old know how to start up a car, how to drive a car? It's these games that we putting in their hands.
I'm telling you, I know it to be true.
And these kids are learning. And when they pull them over, how you learn how to drive a car? My video game. Yeah. My video game.
Ain't just like y'all said about that guy that ain't never had a pilot license.
Oh yeah, the whole plane off the video game. Learn from GTA, G.
All right, let's take a break. I promise y'all we won't spend as much time on these other things. I'm gonna see what I can hit. We'll be right back.
If you were raised up gospel and you was raised up blues, and from deep down south, you might be my kind of old school. 3 channels on TV, no games, self. More respect. Grew up with some switched back. And from deep down south. Back then, old school. Soon as you
now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, I'm gonna need that song in my playlist. Is it called Home Training? What's the name of the song?
Bring back good old home training.
Bring back good old home training. Okay, I like that. All right, let me take a second and talk about these ICE arrests that happened in the city. 39 folks arrested. ICE put out a statement or something to the equivalent saying that these were primarily people with criminal backgrounds. Local advocates have said, y'all playing. The majority of these people did not have criminal backgrounds. So we're not exactly sure what is the general, situation, but there were witnesses that described ICE agents handling the detainees roughly, using demeaning language, and targeting people with pending immigration cases. Agents broke a car window and detained Estenderly Marte Polanco while her 7-year-old son was in the back seat, according to her fiance and a neighbor. Folks characterize the arrest as aggressive. Agents pushed her onto the ground as she screamed that they were hurting her, and at one point she fainted. Her fiance said an agent choked her and forced her head between her legs, and she busted basically her lip. The agents took the keys to her car, leaving her son and his father to walk home. This woman is from the Dominican Republic, and everybody that knows her talks about she's a good person, good mother. But why the woman her mouth gotta get busted and thrown to the ground for you to take her into custody, and then you take the keys to the car. So did you engage the adult in the car and say, hey, you got a driver's license? Why you take the keys to the car? And depending on the type of car you have, what it takes to get another set of keys to your car. I know some people who literally only got one set of keys to their car. I'm like, you ain't got another key fob? Like, they was like, that key fob cost $350. I was like, man, you out here living reckless with one way to start your car. So there were folks from Voces de la Frontera who, just talked about that this was crazy. They said as a woman, she cried as she pleaded for help from her brother, different people, but people couldn't help. And so the arrest started between June 23rd. They see him ramp up all the way through June 26th, 27th. Most of them were in Milwaukee. Handful took place in Waukesha and up near Madison. But the ICE, again, folks, many of those arrested had criminal backgrounds. Well, what about the ones that didn't have criminal backgrounds? Because that's who y'all said y'all was coming for. So we will continue to kind of pay attention to what's going on. But this part has got to be the most frustrating, because unless you have people that can aggressively, marshal together attorneys on behalf of these people, trying to make sure these people don't even get removed out of the city immediately is an issue and a challenge. As I had mentioned earlier this morning, the county exec said they're looking at legal action for ICE violating local ordinances. To put it bluntly, they need to get the blank out. That's what David Crawley said. They've been criticized for still wearing face coverings while conducting these arrests, documented in several videos. And remember, our Common Council passed an ordinance that prohibited law enforcement officers, including federal agents, from wearing masks in Milwaukee. This was done back in April. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with this. I feel for these, folks in these communities. And I'm waiting for, what's going to happen in the community involving a bunch of Haitians. I'm waiting to see how this eventually plays out to the way these folks are being targeted. They said that there were 3 vehicles. These 3 people were followed by ICE vehicles starting at El Rey grocery store over on Burnham and 13th, South 13th. And then that's when they say the agents broke out these folks' car windows, pointing guns at them, didn't ask for their names or IDs, roughly pulled them out of the car, forced them into trucks. And then one agent called the girlfriend a vulgar word. When agents opened his wallet and found a work permit, they tried to convince him to say it was fake. This is what one guy said. He and his fiance and his brother-in-law all have valid work permits, and they are in the asylum process. And he said he doesn't know why the ICE agents then freed him, but they kept his fiance and her brother. All 3 are from Nicaragua. They took the handcuffs off and told me to run and not look back, because if I look back, I would regret it. That's what this man said, that these people, federal ICE agents, told him, run like you some damn runaway slave, run and don't look back, because if you look back, you're going to regret it. What does that mean? They said he has been in touch with his fiance, who is being held at a facility down in Kenosha. In fact, she's been held in the Kenosha County Jail. He didn't know where his brother-in-law was, though. And real quick, a Milwaukee resident, Jackie Ekstrom, spoke tearfully about watching ICE, quickly pull a woman from her car on June 26 near Pete's Fruit Market over on Greenfield Avenue. While driving, she said she encountered SUVs blocking her lane. She paused behind them, not wanting to drive into oncoming traffic. And she said she saw agents again smashing out somebody's car windows, grabbing the woman and taking her, snatching her up and driving away quickly. She said she walked up to the broken window. She spotted 2 children in the back seat crying. A girl about 13 was hugging her little brother who was around 7. The woman said it broke her heart. She can't get it out of her mind. The trauma these kids experience. Some were wearing police vests with masks on their face, taking their mother away. The children's father was in the car. They went home with him. But that's how they handled her mother. So there are people that are indifferent, to what's happening with folks. And, the Mexicans don't like us anyway. None of these groups like us anyway. So what happened to them? They need to get out. It's still a way to do things. I don't need to cause harm to get justice or to, if there are policies that are being violated, I don't have to be disrespectful. I don't have to physically harm you. I don't have to call you out your name to do, what I need to do to detain you or to arrest you. And they love breaking out windows in people's cars. They kill me with that. So for people that are indifferent to this, I don't wish this on nobody. But there is a way to handle people. Let me take a break, y'all. I'll be right back.
Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. Let me go to the phone line real quick. Has a caller who held through the break. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something about this whole ICE thing. First of all, the common concept that some sort of legislation about wearing masks, and it was touted down. Nobody wants the mask. For Mookie and all his things.
It's a little hard to hear you, bro. You sound kind of muffled.
Okay, and I can believe it. Now, check this here out. The ICE agent, the people, first of all, the Common Council tried to create some city ordinance about wearing masks, period. That's for any individual. They touted that down. They didn't want that. But then the ICE people come in and they say we don't want them to wear masks. Now, I don't know how a city law going to ever trump a federal law. Anybody that's pushing back against that situation should be arrested for interfering with an investigation. They got me one time like that. They told me in the back of the car, wrote me a bunch of tickets and throw me out. Now, first of all, if they really,
let me stop you for one quick second. There is no federal law that authorizes or explicitly requires ICE agents to wear masks. That is a policy of the department. It is not a federal law.
Okay, the mask part, right? The mask part, you're right. I haven't looked into that, and I take I'm not going to challenge that. But the law of getting them out is a federal law. Okay, that's been broken. Now, why is it that we're not pushing?
A mask is not stopping you from doing your job. It's not stopping you. What it is doing is providing cover for you to act the fool.
Okay, check this out. I'm glad you said that. This is one reason that we're not getting anywhere when it comes down to certain crimes, and because you know why? They will not use the broken window theory like Arthur Jones with just something as simple as a jet black tinted window. Why don't they enforce the tinted window law?
Why should they?
Because guess what?
Because tinted windows are not illegal depending on which state you live in.
That's right. But we're talking about here in this state.
But why do tinted windows need to be illegal?
Because, ma'am,
why? I had tinted windows on my car when I moved here. I wasn't breaking no laws. I wasn't committing no crimes. Why do tinted windows need to be illegal?
Well,
because if you live in Texas, if you live in Georgia, if you live in a lot of states, particularly where it's real hot, tinted windows illegal. So it's no safety risk in those states. Why is it a safety risk here?
And Michelle.
Yes, sir.
Michelle, some of this stuff is just common sense. You don't know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's white people nonsense that they believe that they got to be able to have their eyes on you when you drive in your car. That's nonsense. Because if this was a state that got as hot as Texas and Cali and Georgia and Alabama, tinted windows would not be illegal. The healthcare issues would outraise any concern about I need to be able to look in your vehicle.
You have a health condition.
And let me also say this real quick. The tinted windows, when they pull you over and give you a ticket for tinted windows, you need to ask them for the meter that they use to measure the tint. And when was the last time it was calibrated?
Okay, you're right. Now check this out. Everything you saying is right when it comes down to that. You know why I know? Because I've been pulled over for them. But listen to this right here. The calibration and all that. A jet black window that you cannot see, and you don't know who's finna roll up after they blow their horn at you and raise it down and shoot one and pull one of them things.
Again, but if I'm not breaking any laws, I'm not doing anything, why do you need to see in my car?
Okay.
My plates is good. I'm not violating no traffic laws. Why do you need to see up in my car?
Listen. The exact attitude you have is the reason why they got this, because they police.
Why?
A lot of them, the reason why it's not being enforced is because
why? I've not broken any laws. Why do you need to see up in my car?
Okay, listen. Okay.
Because you got people getting a ticket strictly for tint. My plates is good. I didn't break any, traffic laws.
I've got one.
And I remember I got one too, and I challenged it. Because I'm like, tell me why.
You challenged it, but did you defeat it?
I actually got it dismissed.
Because you took that 10 off before you went back to court.
No, I didn't, because I asked them for the calibration and the last time that the 10 thing had been calibrated. Because my tint wasn't super black. It was just light enough.
That was good. That was good. But anyway, listen, going back, if they really want to do something instead of busting people coming out of L Rays, why don't they go inside of L Rays, which do not
It's a private business. It's a private business. It's a private business. That's why they don't have no business up in there.
They're breaking federal law.
It's a private business. It's a private business. And I gotta go. Thank you, Meech. Hey, man, hang up. I want to get some other stuff in. I'm not getting ready to do this with you all the time. I'm just not. And when they start showing how to, just like I said, when they was rounding them black folks up in Texas on horses and looking all like a scene from Roots, you still can treat people with respect. These private stores is not the ISIS, playground to run up in, executing, in some cases, no warrants. You just out here acting a fool. You ain't getting no respect on that. Let me mention this real quick, because I don't want this day and me to go into the weekend and not have mentioned this woman's name. Many of you may not have heard the name Tania Nicole Miller. Tania Nicole Miller. This sister is yet one of at least 12 to 13 Black people that have died under suspicious circumstances. This is a young woman, 27 years old, who is from Flint, Michigan. On June 18th, she had gone down to Florida to celebrate Juneteenth. On June 18th, they found her dead in Gwen Cherry Park in the Miami-Dade County neighborhood, hanging from a tree. I want you to hear this sister's name, Tania Nicole Miller. Have you heard her name on the news? Have you heard anybody talking about a Black woman on vacation all of a sudden to celebrate Juneteenth? And the day before Juneteenth, you end up hanging dead in a tree. If you have not paid attention, Daquan Johnson, February 20th, found hanging. Dr. Linda Davis, PhD, February 16th, 2026. Keith Porter Jr., New Year's Day, 2026. Kyle Basinga, February 18th, 2026, found hanging. And not everybody was hanging in a tree, but the deaths were suspicious. All Black people. Torrance Tory Medley, November 13th, 2025. Javon Gavin, October 1st, 2025. Trey Reed, September 15th, 2025. Earl Smith, June 11th, 2025. Merrick Kaiser, April 29th, 2025. The two young boys, Kadir and Nazir Lewis, who I talked about down in Georgia, who was supposed to be on their way to the airport, and they found their bodies in some wooded remote area, and nobody can explain how the boys' bodies got there. And they said it was a murder-suicide or some stupid nonsense. Earl Smith, June 11th, 2025. Kayla Huff, found dead, May 13th, 2026. Juliana Nitsa, May 8th, 2026. Have you heard of most of these people? No. Half of these people were found dead hanging from a tree, talking about this is the way they chose to commit suicide. But can't nobody tell you how they got up in that tree? There's nothing to demonstrate that there's video of any of them leaving to go buy rope. They can't trace their, steps to Walmart, to Home Depot, nothing. And this young sister, the local authorities are saying it's an apparent suicide. Why do I leave my home at 27 years old in Flint, Michigan to go kick it in Miami for Juneteenth and hang myself? In Miami. Why? They ruled the death an apparent suicide, no signs of foul play. And so, of course, all the Black folks is like, how are we not talking about this? How is this not being brought up? Mainstream media. Let a white girl be found hanging in a park. Even if it was suicide for real. Let a white girl be found hanging in the park. Yet alone, all of these, remember the college campus, the boy found hanging in this. Come on, y'all. I just had this conversation with my son who lives in Georgia the other day because he was taking a 2-3 hour ride to go somewhere to pick up a part for this machine that he has. And I literally talked to him, make sure you checking in along the way and on the way back. I'm saying this in 2026 because all these unexplained lynchings, as far as I'm concerned, is unreal. I don't know if you saw, there was a high school down in Virginia, and the high school, predominantly white school, playing a Black school. They got 2 kids standing up in the stands waving the Confederate flag during the game. Just waving it back and forth, just brandishing the Confederate flag. Since I'm on race, let me stay there for just a second. I haven't been watching a lot of the soccer, just because of some inherent things that I have seen over the years in relationship to soccer that are racist to me. They've thrown banana peels out on the field while Black players have been playing. Did you know that one Italian soccer coach called for Black African teams not to be able to play in the World Cup because he said it would diminish the value of the games? Hang on. I meant to have it pulled up. So Donald Trump didn't want Iran to be able to play in the tournament. He wanted them to be replaced by a team from Italy. They did not go along with that. But there was this great social media back and forth where somebody posted about the team from Ghana saying, hey, not one single white player on the Ghana team. And this one sister answered for the whole community, the whole world. She said, yeah, because Ghana didn't go and colonize basically no white countries. Y'all got black players because y'all colonized black countries. And like everybody else just felt the need to be quiet and just let her statement stand. Like, if you're going to understand why you got black and white players on these teams, then appreciate what you're talking about. Just like there is a college coach who was quoted as saying, you know, when they were talking about boycotting the SEC, let them leave. Let the 20 of them leave. And somebody was running down the stats like, you do realize 40% of the NBA, black, 40% college football, black. Like they just started running down the numbers, the NFL percentages. So no, it's more than 20. Y'all games become boring and nothing without us on the field. The other thing that I want to grab real quickly, and it's so much, I just can't get to it all. I am definitely going to tackle Donald Trump's basket of riches that he now finds himself with since resuming the presidency. But that's a longer conversation. But I wanted to talk about Carmelo Anthony real quick, if I could. The young man who found guilty of murder when his family and he alleged it was self-defense. So there is now a new defense team that is representing Carmelo Anthony, and they have talked about how his lawyer, you know, basically helped to sabotage his case. The judge in the case, who knew about video footage and evidence that supported Carmelo Anthony's claim that the young man who got stabbed initiated physical contact with him and that 3 or 4 boys tried to jump him. There is evidence to back that up now. So there are lawyers from 6 different law firms around Texas that have come together now to create, in essence, a dream team to be able to file an appeal and to go after these folks in Carmelo Anthony's case. So we're going to need to, and what I have found very interesting, the number of white folks, particularly white men, who have jumped on social media to come to Carmelo Anthony's defense. And they are talking explicitly about the actions of the judge, about the actions of the young white athletes, you know, the physical altercation, what the coaches did to scurry some of the kids away so that they couldn't be implicated. Everything is being challenged and disputed. So I just wanted to tell people, if you have not been keeping up with that, and folks like Kendrick Lamar, Cardi B, Rihanna, I even heard 50 Cent, you know, are coming to try to figure out how to aid and assist this young man. You can be Kyle Rittenhouse, kill 2 people, and holler self-defense while you are 18 years old carrying an AR-15 coming over from another state. But this young man, nobody can believe that he, you know, was attempting to protect himself. Another thing, wait, we have a caller? Jay, is there a caller? No, we good. Another thing, because I realized I'm up against the clock. I'm sorry, y'all. Another thing that I just want to say, because I won't get to talk to y'all before 4th of July. I am so waiting for Donald Trump's 4th of July celebration. Because I'm not saying it's going to be a wholesale flop, but they scared right now, y'all. They are terrified that Trump going to be out there with a few Klan members by himself. That, number one, the fireworks show is not even scheduled to 11 p.m. at night. Like, who has fireworks at 11 o'clock at night? That's he I can't even get it out. Almost, It is impossible for me to believe how this man has just wholly messed up the 250th anniversary of this nation's founding. Single-handedly. I said it years ago. Everything he touches turns to crap. Everything he touches turns to crap. I got to get ready to get out of here. I will just simply say this. It's going to be 100 degrees for his 4th of July celebration. They're saying it's probably going to be feel like 107. I hope so. I hope that it is so ignorant and hot. Ain't nobody going to be able to use that little stupid reflecting pool that he has messed up. I just hope it's the biggest failure of all times. And some people are like, oh, Michelle, it's the country. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's Donald Trump. So be safe for the holiday, y'all. However you choose to celebrate it. Some folks already said, look, I celebrate on Juneteenth. You can celebrate the 4th of July because this country does not stand without us. The nation's capital is not the nation's capital without Black labor and a Black man remembering the layout for the plans when the architect that they brought in to create DC got pissed off, rolled up his plans, and went back abroad. I forgot what country he was from. And the brother said, oh, I saw the plans. I know exactly how it's supposed to be laid out. Our handprints is on everything connected to this country's founding. So don't let the ignorant racists deter you from celebrating. Just celebrate in your own way. Bruh, I'll talk to y'all next week. Everybody be safe. And I just want y'all to know. See this list? All these is topics. I got so much catching up to do. It's crazy. All right, family. I'm out the way. I'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.